Hello, everybody. Captain Marty Brill here, and let me be the first to say today, may the 4th be with you. I know, don't quit my day job. My day job, though, is telling you about the fishing, and it was hit and miss over the weekend. There were some bright points. There was some wind. There was cold. I'll tell you all about it, and at the end of today's report, I'll give you the final standings for the Ocracoke Invitational Surf Fishing Tournament. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
At Fishing Unlimited on the Nags Head Manio Causeway, not only can you get stocked up with all the bait, tackle, and amenities necessary to fish, but you can also be your own captain. That's right. At Fishing Unlimited, you can rent one of their spacious pontoon boats to go fishing, crabbing, dolphin watching, or just to cruise the Roanoke Sound. It's family fun at its finest. Half-day and full-day rentals are available. Be your own captain at Fishing Unlimited on the Nags Head Manio Causeway. Ready to ride in style? At KDH Outer Banks Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram at milepost 5.5 on the bypass in Kill Devil Hills, we're more than just a dealership. We're the island dealer that deals. Check out jaw-dropping deals on new and pre-owned Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler models. The island dealer that deals has the wheels you need and the deals you'll love. Check out our inventory at Outer Banks Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram.com. KDH Outer Banks Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram at milepost 5.5 on the bypass in Kill Devil Hills. We're the island dealer that deals.
All right, so we did get a fleet out in Hatteras, and it was windy and cold in the morning, but the day got much prettier as it went on, and we did get some folks offshore. They had good blackfin tuna fishing. They had some scattered dolphin. And you know, one thing I like about the reports coming out of Hatteras, they still call them dolphin. In the fish book, what everyone else is calling a mahi, is a dolphin fish biologically, but obviously it causes a lot of problems over the years when you start talking about catching dolphin and having them for dinner, because people are thinking bottlenose dolphin. Too much time at SeaWorld. But anyway, the dolphin fish, or the mahi, which is mostly even I have gone to call them that. That's more of a Hawaiian name for them, but it works. And they are really great to eat. There's been more and more of them showing up, but still not in great numbers. Been a few wahoo in the catches, and basically it was just a little bit on the scrappy side, but the blackfin tuna carried the boats that were out. They had boats fishing closer to the beach and around the inlet. They continue to have a good sheephead bite. That's the fish you see with the black stripes, not the drum. The black drum has stripes too, but the sheephead, it's the one with the big teeth on it. And they've been catching good bluefishing around Hatteras Inlet and near the inlet. And we'll add one more thing to our species variety, which is increasing every day. We saw some nice catches of Spanish mackerel over the weekend. We're going to see more of that, and we'll be talking more about that, especially on the piers as the water starts to warm up. But we'll tell you in just a moment what the water temperatures are along the beach, and they drop back down a little bit, which is why things slow down somewhat, but we'll get to that in a minute. Oregon Inlet, talked to my old friend Captain Barry Daniels on the End Game, a charter boat out of the Oregon Inlet Fishing Center. Barry's father, Steve Daniel, one of my very best friends, my dock partner, part of my peer group when I was fishing at the fishing center. But Barry's always really helpful. And if you go by the dock, find the End Game at Oregon Inlet. Tell him hello. Tell him how much you appreciate him sharing the news of what's going on. But he tells it like it is, and it was pretty rough both Saturday and Sunday, and fishing was pretty scrappy. There were a few bright moments, but it sounded like yesterday only a few boats went in, mostly for half a day, meaning that they toughed it out and got what they could get and came back in. So it was a few yellowfin tuna, a few dolphin, and a wahoo or two. That's pretty much it over the weekend. Now, as we were winding up last week, there was a couple days we had some much better yellowfin tuna fishing with double figures. But like I said before I left you on Friday, it's hit and miss, haves and have-nots, and you got to have a little luck on your side. And as far as the inlet fishing, we've talked a lot about inlet fishing around Oregon Inlet. They've had the big bluefin tuna. They've had schools of drum. They've had a little bit of everything going on, even some ocean rockfish, but mostly it sounded like it's bluefish, and that's a good thing. And the bluefish that I'm seeing, I'll talk more about in the surf report, but I'm seeing the ones that they're catching around and in the inlet look like 5 to 7 pounders. So as we morph over into the surf part of our report for today, the ones in the ocean, looking at what I could see, look like 6 to 11 pounds. The ones being caught in the surf and on the piers, like in the 32 to 35 inch range. But there's a good sign of bluefish up and down the beach, and all of our surf report focuses on Ocracoke, where they probably had the best of the bluefish bites down there over the weekend. Ocracoke, all of Hatteras Goose Island, and now we're seeing a little more activity north of Oregon Inlet as well. So bluefish and puppy drum, I didn't hear a whole lot about a sea mullet bite, and it sounded like, again, same as offshore fishing, it was hit or miss. And if you were in the right place, you could actually do well. In fact, right now, it's a good time it's not going to be such a long shot where you stand there for hours with nothing. Although, if you have a little luck with you, you can actually have a pretty good bite on blues or drum. But at the end of today's report, we're going to talk to you a little bit about the Ocracoke Surf Fishing Tournament, and you'll see it's not, they're not bailing them into 5-gallon buckets. It's pretty challenging. I mentioned the pier temperature, 56 degrees at the Rodanthe Pier with bluefish there, and had that going on. And by the way, thanks to Tony Lombardi, who has a great website called walkingangler.com that keeps me informed every day about what's going on in the surf and pier fishing. Walkingangler.com is exactly what it says, how to fish without a boat, and there's plenty of opportunity for that on the Outer Banks. We'll take a little break. I'll come back with a little bit of a backcountry report, and then we'll talk about the surf fishing tournament.
Stock up and cast out with Soundside Sporting Goods in Columbia, your one-stop fishing headquarters right off of Highway 64. From fresh mullet and fresh bait to brands like Fish Bites, Strike King, Gulp, Zoom, Mirror and Bass Lures galore, they've got the gear to keep the lines tight and the coolers full. Need new fishing line? They'll re-spool your reels and get you back on the water fast. With rods, reels, waders, buoy boots, and a full-service tackle shop ready to roll, this is the spot anglers trust before the next big bite. Visit them online at SoundsideSportingGoods.com. Soundside Sporting Goods. I mean, why go anywhere else?
There has been some real good drum fishing, and I guess you could say if it's inside the inlets, that fittingly goes in the backcountry report. There's also been some out in the sound and a few on the other side of the sound, but I'll say again, this is connoisseur fishing, and really at this time of year, you really have to be on your A game. However, there's some big ones back there, and if you got a great guide or if you're knowledgeable in that kind of stuff, it's time to go. It's time to get out there and start looking for some of these big drums. I can't say a whole lot. Nobody in their right mind would tell me this time of year exactly where they're catching them. I don't expect them to. That fishing is a little bit territorial, and I respect that. So put in your own due diligence, do your own scouting, and if you want to shorten up the learning curve, maybe look into going with a guide. Just make sure it's a legit guide with a reputation, with insurance, and make sure you know who you're going with, because there are people that claim to be professional guides because they have a boat and a piece of paper that says they're a captain, but they're no more captain than the Captain Crunch on the cereal box or the Captain Tennille's husband. So I think it was her husband. Anyway, he wasn't a captain either. I don't know if you knew that or not. But anyway, there are some big drum. That's about all I'm hearing back in the sound. We'll say this now about the Ocracoke Invitational Surf Fishing Tournament. They fish Thursday and Friday, and we'll go over a few things on that. So in the overall category, and listen to the number of fish. Keep in mind, these teams, I'm not exactly sure, but they're 4, 5, or 6 people to a team, I think is correct. And it might be 6. But it's multiple anglers on each team. With all those teams, I think they said there was in the upper 77, 78 teams. Third place was the beach, in the overall category was the beach drummers. They had 209 points, 5 fish. That's that group of people fishing 4 sessions, morning and evening or afternoon on Thursday, morning and afternoon on Friday. 5 fish, and they finished in 3rd place. In 2nd place, the Island Life Realty fishing team, they had 230 points and 10 fish. So they did a little bit better, but even so, that's not a lot of fish. And then first place, the overall prize winner was the Jersey Rod Runners. They had 320 points and 11 fish. They only had 1 more fish than the second place team, but they had almost 100 more, had 90 more points. So their fish were obviously bigger. And for the female group, 3rd place, listen to this now, the Frail Quails had 37 points with 1 fish. They fished 4 sessions, caught 1 fish, and finished in 3rd. The 2nd place group, the Fisheritas, 52 points, 1 fish. And then the winners of the top female team, 1st place, the Hatterascals, 100 points, 4 fish. So as you can see, there's fish that don't qualify. There's some that, for various reasons, don't count. But of scoreable fish, it was not a hog killing by any stretch of the imagination. And we do want to say a special congratulations today. One of my longtime sponsors and places near and dear to me is Red Drum Tackle Shop in Buxton, right there at Cape Point. Owned by Kara Eakes, formerly owned by Kara and her late husband Bob Eakes, an old friend of mine, and run with their son Bobby. Red Drum, they're very, very knowledgeable. And I do want to say a special congratulations. Kara and her team finished in a 10-way tie for 61st position. 10-way tie for 61st position. And I said, Kara, what are you going to do now that you finished in 61st position? And she said, I'm going to Disney World. Anyway, that was about all I have to report for you in the fishing report. I do hope that you have a great day. Looks like things are going to warm up a little. The table is set for some great fishing. So go out and wet a line and let the good Lord bless you richly today.